That evening started like any other. I had spent the whole day cooking, every detail perfect. The smell filled the apartment, and for a moment, I felt proud. But the moment they arrived, pride turned into ridicule. My efforts were mocked, and my heart felt like it was breaking. I knew this night would change everything.
I'm Emily.
I've been married to Ethan for 7 years, and we have a beautiful daughter, Lily. For most of our marriage, I endured constant humiliation from his family. They mocked my home, my clothes, even the food I cooked. "She's too poor for you," they'd whisper to Ethan, and he would just nod, pretending not to hear. But Ethan had secrets. Secrets that would change everything I thought I knew. This story is about betrayal, lies, and the moment the truth finally hit me. The night began like any other. I had spent hours preparing dinner. Roast chicken, garlic potatoes, and a simple salad. The aroma filled our apartment, and for a brief moment, I felt proud. Lily was napping upstairs, her tiny chest rising and falling softly. The door creaked, and Ethan's mother's sharp voice cut through the calm. "Emily, did you really make all this for Ethan?" she asked, glancing at the plates. My heart raced. "Yes, I thought he'd like it," I said softly. Her lips twisted into a sneer. "It's edible, I suppose. But are you sure he won't want something more suitable for his standards?" A familiar knot tightened in my stomach. Years of subtle insults, mocking comments at family gatherings, small remarks during holidays. All of it rushed back. I forced a smile. "I thought he'd like it," I whispered. "He tolerates it," she corrected, and I glanced at Ethan. He avoided my gaze completely, silent. I placed the plates down and stepped back, trying to hide the burn of humiliation in my chest. Later, Lily woke up crying. I went upstairs to soothe her, rocking her gently. Ethan followed quietly, hands in his pockets, avoiding my eyes. "Emily, maybe we should just move." "Leave this place," he whispered. I shook my head. I can't keep running from them. They've made their opinions clear. Why haven't you ever defended me? His shoulders slumped. I didn't know how. I thought it would be easier to let it slide. Easier? I whispered, anger and hurt mingling in my chest. Years of humiliation, Ethan, and you let it happen? He looked down, ashamed, silent. Then I noticed a manila envelope on the counter with my name on it. Inside were documents, receipts, bank statements, all in his handwriting. A note read, "I never wanted you to see this, but you deserve the truth." My hands trembled as I flipped through the pages. Hidden accounts, secret payments, people I had never met. Ethan had been living a double life. "Ethan, what is all this?" I asked, voice barely audible. I thought I was protecting you," he whispered. "I didn't know how to tell you." I hugged Lily tightly. "Tell me the truth. Everything." He hesitated. I could feel the weight of years of lies pressing down. I didn't know then how deep it went, or how much it would cost to uncover the full truth. The secrets in that envelope were just the beginning. The nightmare was far from over. The next morning, I couldn't eat. The sight of David laughing with Emma and Liam in the living room felt surreal, like watching a stranger play the role of my husband. My mind kept returning to the phone. The messages, the unknown woman, the meetings, all of it. I told myself, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it was innocent. But deep down, I knew better. My instincts screamed that I had been blind for too long. Every excuse he ever gave suddenly sounded like a lie. I started looking for patterns, the small ones I had ignored before. The late-night drives for work, the weekend trips with vague explanations, the whispered phone calls I never asked about. Each piece fit together, forming a picture I couldn't ignore. Then came the first real shock. While organizing the study, I found an envelope hidden behind a stack of bills. My hands shook as I opened it. There it was, photographs of David with another woman, smiling as if he belonged to her. Not a fleeting encounter, but months of meetings, dinners, and trips. And in the photos there was a child. I froze. My heart raced. My children were in the next room, laughing innocently. How could someone lead a double life like this and smile at me every day? I had to confront him. But when I brought it up subtly, he laughed it off, saying, "Clara, you're imagining things." That laugh, that calm dismissiveness, was worse than the betrayal itself. He didn't deny it. He controlled the narrative, made me doubt my own instincts. For the next few days, I became a shadow in my own house, observing, listening, piecing together his lies. And then I found something even more disturbing: receipts, hotel bookings, and gifts addressed to a different last name. He had been planning this life for years, carefully hiding it from me and everyone else. My anger grew, but so did the fear. What if I acted too soon? What if my children got caught in the crossfire? I needed a plan. I had to gather proof, understand the full extent of his betrayal, before anyone could accuse me of paranoia. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, those photos flashed in front of me. David smiling with that woman and the child. The house felt colder the next morning, as if every wall had heard my fear. I walked into the kitchen and found my mother-in-law already there, sipping her tea with that familiar smirk. "Clara," she said, "you really should try to dress better. People judge." The word judge stung because I finally knew who truly deserved judgment. I forced a smile and kept quiet, but inside, something shifted. For the first time, I looked at her not as someone who saw me as too poor, but as someone who had no idea what her son was truly capable of. I wanted to scream, "If only you knew the life he's living behind my back." But I couldn't. Not yet. I needed proof stronger than photos. Proof that no one could twist or deny. That's when I decided to dig deeper. While David showered before work, I quietly took his laptop from the study. My hands were shaking, partly from fear, partly from anger, but mostly from a painful realization. I didn't trust the man whose name I carried. The laptop opened without a password. My breath caught. Why would a man who was so protective of his phone leave his laptop unguarded? The answer came fast. Emails, contracts, bank transfers, a rental apartment under his name and hers. I clicked on a folder labeled simply, Life Plan. Inside were documents that made my stomach twist. Financial splits, childcare arrangements, property divisions, and, at the bottom, a planned date for divorce. He had been planning to leave me, not because I was too poor, but because he already had someone else lined up. A new life, a new family, a new identity. Tears blurred my vision, but I kept scrolling until I saw something that made my knees weaken. Copies of my children's birth certificates. Only not for my children. These showed his signature, as the father, but the mother was the woman in the photos. A second set of children. A second family. A life parallel to mine. My heart screamed. My breath trembled. My body went cold. And the worst part? Someone else already knew. Because in the email thread, at the bottom, his mother had replied, "David, make sure everything is ready before Clara finds out. She's emotional. She'll create a scene." I froze. She knew. His family, the same people who mocked me, belittled me, humiliated me, they knew everything. They hid it from me. They protected him while calling me not good enough. A wave of betrayal hit me so hard I had to grip the desk to stay standing. I stood in the hallway gripping the laptop, so tightly my fingers went numb. My heart wasn't just breaking, it was burning. The humiliation, the laughter, the whispers, all of it suddenly made sense. They didn't call me too poor because they believed it. They said it because they knew something I didn't. They looked down on me because they thought I was temporary, disposable, and I didn't even know I was fighting a war that was already lost in their minds. I walked into the living room. My mother-in-law sat calmly on the sofa, flipping through a magazine like she hadn't helped build the biggest lie of my life. She glanced up at me, annoyed, not concerned. "Clara, you look puffy. You should drink less salt," she said without even looking properly. Something in me snapped. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a clean, quiet break, like glass under pressure finally giving way. I placed the laptop on the table. "Can we talk?" My voice was soft, too soft. The kind of softness that comes right before a storm. She raised an eyebrow. "About what?" I opened the laptop. The screen lit up, documents, emails, photos. Her eyes flicked to the screen, and for the first time ever, I saw fear. Real fear. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. I stared right at her. "You already know the answer." Her hand trembled slightly. She tried to hide it with a cough, but I saw it. She wasn't shocked by what she was seeing. She was shocked that I was seeing it. "Clara, listen," she began. "No," I cut in. "You wanted me to feel inferior. You wanted me to think I wasn't enough. But all this time, your son was the one living two lives. She swallowed hard, the color draining from her face. Don't make a scene, she murmured. A bitter laugh escaped me. A scene? You think this is a scene? This is my marriage. My family. My children's future. Her jaw clenched. It's complicated. Complicated. I stepped closer. You helped him plan a divorce behind my back. You knew he was supporting another home, another woman, another child. And instead of warning me, you called me poor. Silence. Thick. Heavy. Guilty. She couldn't deny it, so she didn't. She just stared at me with a tired, defeated expression. Clara, she finally said, sometimes women like you don't understand how men like David think. My heart stopped. Women like you. There was again the class judgment, the insult wrapped in fake wisdom. I whispered, women like me? You mean the ones who still believe in loyalty? In family? In honesty? She looked away. David wasn't happy, she muttered. I leaned in. Then he should have left me. Not built two families. Not lied to my children. Not involved yours. Not dragged everyone into a life full of secrets. She had no answer. And then, her phone buzzed. I watched her eyes widen. Her hand trembled again. This time she couldn't hide it. I stepped closer. Who is it? She hesitated too long. So I grabbed the phone before she could stop me. On the screen was a message. He's coming. Tell Clara I'm not scared of her. My breath froze. There was another woman. And she wasn't hiding. I didn't waste a second. I grabbed my daughter, held her close, and walked straight toward the basement door. My heart was beating so hard I could hear it in my ears. The light was off, but someone had definitely been down there recently. I stepped onto the first wooden stair, and it creaked so loud it felt like a scream. Suddenly, a voice came from the darkness. You weren't supposed to see that. I froze. It wasn't my husband's voice. It was deeper, colder, and terrifyingly familiar. A shadow moved below. Slow, unhurried, like it already knew I couldn't escape. My daughter gripped my shirt tighter. She whispered, Mommy, that's the man who comes at night. My breath stopped. Whoever was down there, he knew my child. He had been near her more than once. I stepped back slowly, but the floorboard under my heels snapped, and the shadow rushed toward the stairs. And that's when I realized something horrifying. He had a key. To my house. To my baby's room. To everything. I didn't breathe. Not even once. The shadow was halfway up the basement stairs now, moving with a calmness that made my skin crawl. My daughter kept her tiny arms locked around my waist, her face buried against me, trembling. I could feel her heartbeat thudding against my ribs like a terrified bird trying to escape a cage. And then the figure stepped into the light. I swear my spine turned to ice. It wasn't a stranger. It was Evan's brother. The same brother who never visited. The same brother Evan said was working overseas. The same brother the family swore was a successful, brilliant man. Except he didn't look brilliant. He looked feral, hollow, like something had eaten the light out of his eyes. And in his hand, a small silver key. The exact one I had seen in the hidden hallway. He stared at us for a moment that felt like a lifetime. Then he smiled. Nothing warm. Just skin stretching over teeth. You weren't supposed to go down there, he said softly, as if scolding a child. He promised you wouldn't. He who? Did he mean? My voice cracked. You need to leave. Right now. His smile didn't change. If I leave, he'll be angry. He said you were too scared to explore. Too obedient. Guess he was wrong. My stomach twisted. He knew things. He knew conversations I'd never had with him. Which meant he'd been listening. Watching. For a long time. I took a shaky step back, keeping my daughter shielded behind my arm. Where is Evan? I demanded. He tilted his head. You still think he's the victim here? He laughed quietly. That's cute. My throat tightened. What did he do? I whispered. The brother moved closer, slow and deliberate, like a predator enjoying the moment. He let me stay here, he said. Said it was just until I got better. But the thing is, he leaned in inches from my face. I'm not the one who needs help. I grabbed my daughter and ran. Not gracefully. Not heroically. Just pure survival. bare feet slipping across the floor, heart exploding in my chest. I sprinted toward the front door, but before I even touched the handle,
Click.
it was locked. Deadbolt. I fumbled the latch, but it wouldn't move. He had locked it when he came upstairs. My hands shook violently. My daughter was crying now, gripping my shirt so tightly the stitches pulled. Behind me, his footsteps were slow, steady, almost playful. "You know he picked you for a reason," he said calmly. "Because you were quiet. Because nobody believed you deserved him." A pause. "Because nobody would believe you if you ever tried to speak." I forced the lock again, praying, sweating, begging silently. And then, a sound cut through everything. A car door slamming. Right outside. The brother stopped speaking. Stopped walking. He turned toward the window. I dared to hope. Just for a second. The front door suddenly rattled from the outside. "Babe?
Hey.
Open up." It was Evan. My stomach nodded. Good news or terrible news? I didn't know anymore. The brother backed into the hallway shadows like he'd rehearsed it 1,000 times. "Don't tell him," he whispered, raising a finger to his lips. "You tell him, and he'll tell them." His voice dropped to something darker than anger. "And we both know what happens when his family decides you're a problem." My blood turned cold. He stepped back into the basement doorway and disappeared, vanishing like smoke into the dark. The sound of the basement door clicking shut echoed in the hallway. Evan kept knocking. "Honey, why is the door locked?" I hesitated. Should I open it? Should I scream? Should I run? Should I call for help? Instead, my hands moved on their own, unlocking the door like muscle memory. Evan stepped in, confused. "Why are you shaking? Why is she crying? What happened?" I stared at him, searching his face, searching for guilt, for fear, for anything that would tell me whether I could trust him. "Evan," my voice cracked. "Your brother. He's here." His expression didn't shift in the way I expected.
No shock.
No fear.
No denial.
Just irritation. Annoyance. Like I'd spilled something on the carpet. "Honey," he sighed, running a hand through his hair, "I told you not to go downstairs." That one sentence shattered something inside me. "You knew he was here?" I whispered. Evan's eyes finally showed something real. Not fear of his brother, but fear of me finding out. "It's not what you think," he said quickly. "He just needs a place to stay. He isn't dangerous." He came into my daughter's room. I snapped, backing away. "He watches us. He told me you gave him a key. He said you picked me because no one would believe me." "Stop." His voice hardened. But I didn't. I couldn't. "You lied to me," I choked out. "About him. About the basement. About everything." His jaw tightened. His nostrils flared. His eyes went cold. Exactly the way they did the night he grabbed my wrist, so hard it bruised. Exactly the way they did the night he told me I didn't deserve better. He stepped toward me, lowering his voice so the neighbors wouldn't hear. "You're making this worse than it needs to be," he said. "You always do this. Always." Then he reached for my daughter, and she screamed.
No.
"Don't touch me." Evan froze, shocked, and maybe for the first time, he realized she remembered him hurting her. His face twisted. "Look what you've done," he hissed. "You turned her against me. She's scared of you," I said quietly. "And now I understand why." For the first time since he came home, I saw fear in Evan's eyes. Not fear of losing us. Fear of what I now knew. The truth was that Evan had been protecting him, covering for him, supporting him, and lying to me about him for years. And the worst part? The brother wasn't finished. I could feel it. I could sense him in the walls. Listening. Waiting. Evan took another step toward us. "We're going downstairs," he said firmly. "All of us.
Right now.
And we're going to talk this out." My heartbeat stopped. There was no way I was stepping into that basement. Not with him. Not with his brother. Not with the secrets they were clearly hiding together. I grabbed my daughter's hand. "No," I said. And my voice didn't shake this time. Evan blinked, surprised by my strength. But before he could speak, a loud thump echoed from the basement. Not a small one. A heavy one, like someone dropping something big. Evan's face went pale. My daughter whispered, "He's coming," and I realized something chilling. There were more secrets in that basement than Evan ever planned to reveal. My stomach dropped. My daughter whimpered into my shirt. That voice was not his brother's. Evan froze mid-breath. No, he whispered to himself. No, no, no. He wasn't supposed to wake up. Wake up? My legs nearly gave out. I grabbed his arm. Who is down there? Evan, look at me. Who is in your basement? He didn't answer. Because he couldn't. Because the truth was already slipping through the cracks. He whispered, almost too soft to hear. Someone I couldn't let go. That was all I got. He ripped his arm from my grip and opened the basement door. The smell hit first. Rotting metal, damp earth, something coppery and sickening. My daughter buried her face harder into me. Mama, close it. But Evan was already halfway down the steps, the darkness swallowing him. The shadows seemed alive, moving with the beating of my heart. Evan, I shouted. He didn't turn back. I had two choices.
Run.
Or find out what hell he'd been hiding beneath my home. And I already knew, if I ran now, I'd never get the truth. He'd twist it, hide it, gaslight me until I doubted reality again.
No.
Not this time. I took a breath that scraped against my ribs and followed him down. The basement was colder than before. The kind of cold that feels unnatural, like it crawls under your skin and whispers. The single hanging bulb flickered above us, swinging slightly as if someone had touched it moments ago. Evan reached the bottom and stopped dead. I stepped beside him and felt my heart collapse in my chest. Someone was chained to the far wall.
A man.
The truth was that Evan had been protecting him, covering for him, supporting him, and lying to me about him for years. And the worst part? The brother wasn't finished. I could feel it. I could sense him in the walls. Listening. Waiting. Evan took another step toward us. We're going downstairs, he said firmly. All of us.
Right now.
And we're going to talk this out. My heartbeat stopped. There was no way I was stepping into that basement. Not with him. Not with his brother. Not with the secrets they were clearly hiding together. I grabbed my daughter's hand. No, I said. And my voice didn't shake this time. Evan blinked, surprised by my strength. But before he could speak, a loud thump echoed from the basement. Not a small one. A heavy one, like someone dropping something big. Evan's face went pale. My daughter whispered, "He's coming," and I realized something chilling. There were more secrets in that basement than Evan ever planned to reveal. That thump from the basement didn't sound human. It sounded heavier, wetter, like something dragging across concrete. My daughter clung to me so tightly her nails dug into my skin. Evan, for the first time since he came home, looked genuinely afraid. Not angry, not annoyed, afraid. "Stay here," he muttered, stepping toward the basement door.
No.
My voice cracked like ice. "You're not opening that." He ignored me. His hand reached for the doorknob, shaking. Evan never shook. Another thump. And then, a faint voice. A whisper. "Evan." My stomach dropped. My daughter whimpered into my shirt. That voice was not his brother's. Evan froze mid-breath. "No," he whispered to himself. No, 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 he wasn't supposed to wake up. Wake up? My legs nearly gave out. I grabbed his arm. "Who is down there?" "Evan, look at me." "Who is in your basement?" He didn't answer. Because he couldn't. Because the truth was already slipping through the cracks. He whispered, almost too soft to hear. "Someone I couldn't let go." That was all I got. He ripped his arm from my grip and opened the basement door. The smell hit first. Rotting metal, damp earth, something coppery and sickening. My daughter buried her face harder into me. "Mama, close it." But Evan was already halfway down the steps, the darkness swallowing him. The shadows seemed alive, moving with the beating of my heart. "Evan," I shouted. He didn't turn back. I had two choices.
Run.
Or find out what hell he'd been hiding beneath my home. And I already knew, if I ran now, I'd never get the truth. He'd twist it, hide it, gaslight me until I doubted reality again.
No.
Not this time. I took a breath that scraped against my ribs and followed him down. The basement was colder than before. The kind of cold that feels unnatural, like it crawls under your skin and whispers. The single hanging bulb flickered above us, swinging slightly as if someone had touched it moments ago. Evan reached the bottom and stopped dead. I stepped beside him and felt my heart collapse in my chest. Someone was chained to the far wall.
A man.
Barely conscious. Barely breathing. Dried blood crusted around his wrists where shackles bit into his skin. His clothes were shredded. His body looked starved, almost skeletal. My knees buckled. "Evan, what did you do?" I whispered. He didn't answer. He couldn't. He just stared at the man like he was staring at a living ghost. The man's eyes fluttered open, cloudy, unfocused, and then suddenly sharp. He looked straight at me. "You're her," he rasped. My heart stopped. "I'm who?" I asked, my voice shaking. His lips trembled. "The woman he said he'd protect. The one he promised he'd never let me warn." Warn? My skin crawled. I stepped closer despite the terror turning my bones to dust. "What are you talking about?" I demanded. "Who are you?" He swallowed, every movement painful. "My name is Darren," he whispered.
I'm...
Evan cut him off. "Don't listen to him." I spun toward Evan. "That's enough. You don't get to tell me who to believe." He grabbed my arm. Hard. Too hard.
We're leaving, he snapped. Now.
But Darren's voice rose, desperate. "He's been lying to you since the beginning. I'm not the one you should fear, he is." Evan lunged toward him. I shoved myself between them. And suddenly, a truth slithered into place. Why his family called me too poor. Why they said I didn't deserve him. Why they protected him like he was royalty. Not because he was successful, but because he was dangerous. Dangerous enough that they'd rather blame me than accept what he truly was. Darren tried speaking again, wheezing. "He brought me here because I knew what he did to the other woman. The one who disappeared." Every hair on my body stood up. "What woman?" I whispered. Evan backed away, shaking. "She was lying," he muttered. "All of them lied. They tried to ruin me. They always do." His voice wasn't his voice. It was something darker, wearing his face. Then my daughter tugged my shirt. "Mom," she whispered. "That's the man, the one from my room." I spun around so fast my neck cracked. "Who?" I breathed. She pointed, but not at Darren, not at Evan, toward the dark corner behind the pipes. And something in that darkness moved.
Slowly.
Deliberately. A second figure stepped into the flickering light.
Tall.
Smiling faintly. Eyes empty. Evan's brother.
Alive. Awake.
And blocking the exit. "You've done enough," he said quietly to Evan. She wasn't supposed to know. My chest caved. Evan whispered his brother's name like a guilty child caught stealing. "You promised," the brother murmured. "You said you'd control yourself. You said she'd never find out." Darren spoke again behind me, almost sobbing. You see now? They both hurt her. They hurt the other woman. They hurt." Evan slammed the chains, rattling them violently. "Shut up." My daughter screamed. My body moved automatically, shielding her, pulling her behind me. The brother stepped closer, hands raised like calming a feral animal. "Evan, listen to me. If she tells anyone—" "I won't tell anyone," I whispered. "Let me leave. Let us go. You can keep your secrets." But the brother smiled coldly. "That's the problem. It's not just a secret anymore." Evan turned to me, eyes wide. "You weren't supposed to go
Breathing
downstairs,"
broken.
he whispered. "You weren't supposed to see this. You weren't supposed to hear him." He sounded almost heartbroken, like I betrayed him. A laugh, small and ragged, escaped Darren. "She wasn't supposed to survive," he said. The air left my lungs. I stared at Evan, at the man I shared a home with, the man I thought I loved. "Is that true?" I whispered. He didn't answer, because he didn't need to. The truth was written all over his trembling face. My daughter tugged my sleeve again, tears streaming. "Mom, we have to run." The brother took a step toward us. And that's when I realized. This basement wasn't where the secret started. It was where the secret was going to end. For a moment, nobody breathed. Evan, his brother, Darren, half-conscious, chained, shaking. And me, holding my daughter, so tight my arms trembled. The basement felt smaller than a coffin. The air tasted like rust, and the flickering bulb above us buzzed like a countdown. Evan's brother stepped closer, voice soft, too soft. "You've seen too much," he said. "This can't be undone." My daughter buried her face into my chest. Her tiny sob hit me like a knife. That was it. The moment the fear inside me snapped. Not for myself. For her. I lifted my chin, meeting the brother's cold eyes. "You're not touching my child," I whispered. "Not one more person in this house is going to suffer because of you." He smirked, slow, almost bored. "You think you can stop us?" My heart hammered so hard I could barely hear myself when I replied, "Watch me." I grabbed the nearest thing within reach, a metal wrench lying on a toolbox. It was cold, heavy. Just holding it made my hands shake. Evan's attention snapped straight to me. "Don't do that," he warned. His voice lowered into that dangerous tone I'd heard too many times before. I stepped in front of my daughter again, tightening my grip on the wrench. "I'm leaving," I said. "And she's coming with me." His brother laughed, stepping between me and the stairs. "You think we'll let you walk out and tell someone?" He tilted his head, eyes narrowing. "You were always disposable to them, you know." "Them?" I whispered. "What does that even mean?" Before he answered, Darren groaned in the corner. "Run," he wheezed. "Don't talk, just run." They did the same thing to her. Evan spun and kicked Darren so hard his body jerked sideways. "Stop talking about her," he screamed. My daughter began crying hysterically. I held her tighter, feeling her sobs shake her entire tiny body. His brother sighed, like Evan was embarrassing him. Then he looked at me. "You're going to come with us quietly," he said matter-of-factly. "No one has to get hurt." I couldn't believe it. "No one has to get hurt?" I snapped. "You chained a man to a wall. You tortured a woman who disappeared." My voice broke. "You tried to hurt my baby." The brother pointed at the wrench. "Drop it." I didn't. Evan took a step forward. But for the first time, he hesitated. His eyes flicked toward my daughter. Then to me. Like something inside him cracked. He whispered my name, softly, almost pleading. "You don't understand. I didn't want it like this." The brother snapped at him. "Stop talking. She's manipulating you." Evan's breathing hitched. "Just let me think." Think? He wanted time to think. In the corner, Darren whispered breathlessly. "They're stalling you. They always stall." That's how they trapped her. Her. The missing woman. My skin went numb. Evan's brother took another step. The light flickered again. Shadows stretched across the concrete like long hands. I realized something in that moment. They weren't going to let us leave. Not me. Not my daughter. Not even Evan if he went against his brother. So I made my move. Without giving myself time to think, I lunged forward, swinging the wrench straight at the brother's arm. The impact rang OU. I didn't wait. I grabbed my daughter's hand and sprinted for the stairs. "Go!" Darren shouted, voice cracking. "Run!" Behind us. The brother's roar shook the basement. I pushed my daughter ahead of me up the wooden steps, shoving her upward with every ounce of strength I had. "Don't look back," I yelled. But halfway up, Evan grabbed my wrist. I choked on a scream, my body jerking backward.
"No."
I cried. "Let me go." His face was twisted. Fear, anger, heartbreak all crashing together. "I'm not letting you leave," he shouted. "They'll blame me. They'll lock me away. Don't you get it?" He was panicking. He was unraveling. He was dangerous. "Let me go, Evan." I screamed again, fighting his grip with everything in me. His brother was limping toward the stairs now, rage twisting his features. "You should have listened," he hissed. My daughter reached the top step and turned around. "Mom." Her eyes were wide, terrified. And somehow that tiny voice gave me strength I didn't know I still had. I slammed my knee into Evan's chest. He gasped, his hold loosening just enough. I ripped my arm free and shoved him down the stairs. His body hit the concrete floor with a sickening thud. The brother lunged to grab me, but my daughter slammed the basement door shut right in his face. "Lock it," I yelled. She fumbled with the bolt, her hands shaking, but she got it. A second later, boom, a fist slammed the door from the other side. The wood cracked. Dust flew from the hinges. "Open this door." The brother's voice wasn't human anymore. It was fury.
Pure un filter drage.
I grabbed my daughter's hand again and ran. The hallway blurred. My heartbeat drowned out everything, even the sound of the basement door splintering behind us. We reached the front door. I yanked it open. Cold night air hit us like salvation. Go! I screamed, pushing her outside. She stumbled onto the porch. But right before I stepped out behind her, I heard a voice behind me, soft, broken, Evan. Please don't leave me, I turned. He was at the top of the basement stairs now, shaking, bruised, terrified, but still blocking my way. I loved you, he whispered. I did everything for you. No, I whispered back. You did everything to me. His face twisted. Pain into anger. Anger into something worse. He took one step forward. I won't let you destroy my life. I backed onto the porch, heart pounding. You already destroyed it, I said. He reached out, but I slammed the door in his face. And then he laughed. A slow, haunting laugh that seeped through the wood. You think you're safe out there, he said. You have no idea who you're running from. My blood turned to ice. Behind me, my daughter tugged my hand. Mom, hurry. So I ran. Into the night, barefoot, shaking, holding my child. And behind us, back inside that house, Evan kept laughing, like he already knew. This wasn't over. The cold night air sliced across my face as we ran down the driveway, barefoot, trembling, holding onto each other like the world was splitting open beneath us. My daughter's tiny hand gripped mine so hard it hurt, but I didn't dare slow down. Not after the way Evan laughed. Not after the things Darren said. We reached the end of the road before I realized I had no phone. No car keys, no bag, nothing. We had escaped with nothing but our lives. I looked over my shoulder. The house was a dark silhouette against the night sky, still silent, but I could feel him watching. Somewhere behind those walls, he was smiling. Mom, my daughter whispered. Her voice shook like a leaf. Where do we go? I swallowed hard, trying not to let her see the terror in my eyes. We go somewhere safe, I said softly. Anywhere safe. I lifted her into my arms, her body cold, shivering, and started walking. My feet were raw and numb, but adrenaline kept me moving. Every rustle of leaves, every car passing in the distance, every shadow on the sidewalk felt threatening, like Evan or his brother could appear behind us at any second. After nearly 10 minutes of walking, we reached a small gas station. Its neon sign buzzed weakly, flickering like a dying heartbeat. But it was open.
And bright.
And there were people inside. I pushed through the door, holding my daughter close. The clerk, a woman in her 50s, looked up from the counter and froze when she saw us. Oh my God, she breathed. Honey, are you okay? You're bleeding. I glanced down.
Blood.
Across the tops of my feet, from running on gravel and broken pavement. But I barely felt it. I need a phone, I managed to say. Please. I need help. The woman didn't ask anything else. She handed me the store phone immediately. My fingers shook so hard I had to dial twice before the call went through. 911. The moment the operator answered, my voice broke. There's a man, 2 men, holding someone in my basement. They hurt him, they hurt others, they tried to stop me from leaving. My breath hitched. And they know where I live. The operator kept me on the line, asking questions calmly, guiding me through every detail. Within minutes, she told me, officers are already on the way. I hung up, my hands trembling violently. The clerk brought a blanket for my daughter and a bottle of water. Her kindness made something inside my chest crumble. You're safe now, she whispered. No one's going to hurt you here. But she didn't know. They always found their way back. Always. Minutes stretched like hours before I finally saw the flashing red and blue lights outside. 3 police cars. 2 ambulances. A black SUV I didn't recognize. When the officers walked in, the first one, Officer Rayburn, kneeling so he was eye level with me, spoke gently. Is your name Claire? I nodded. He exchanged a look with the detective beside him. We've been looking for your address for a long time, the detective said.
His voice was heavy. Worried.
Why? I asked. He sighed deeply, rubbing a hand over his jaw. Because of a missing woman. Someone who vanished after making a report about a man connected to your husband's family. My stomach dropped. Her. The woman Darren kept mentioning. Who was she? I asked quietly. The detective hesitated. Then, her name was Ava.
Ava.
The name echoed inside my skull like a bell. She came forward 2 years ago, he continued. She reported being held in a basement.
Tortured.
Threatened. But she disappeared before she could testify. I felt my knees weaken. And the last place her phone pinged, he looked me dead in the eyes. Was your street. My daughter tightened her grip around my neck. I couldn't breathe. Do you think, I swallowed. Do you think they killed her? The detective didn't answer. That silence said everything. We're sending units to your house now, he said. You'll stay here with another team until we get back. I nodded, feeling the world tilt around me. Minutes later, the radio crackled. Unit 12 to command. We're at the property. Basement door forced. We've got. Static. A shout in the background. Then, we have a live victim. Male, tied up, severely dehydrated. Needs immediate medical attention.
Darren.
He was alive. A wave of emotion nearly pulled me under. But then, another voice came through the radio, breathless. Dispatch, the suspects are not on the property. Repeat, the suspects are gone. My blood turned to ice.
Gone?
Gone where? The detective grabbed his radio. Perimeter. Lock down the perimeter now. Do not let them get far. But they were already ahead of everyone. Of course they were. The detective stepped toward me, his jaw clenched. They knew we were coming, he said. This wasn't random. They planned this. My heart dropped.
No, I whispered.
They planned me. The detective's eyes sharpened. What do you mean? I forced myself to speak through the panic rising in my throat. They knew when I'd run. They knew which direction I'd go. He even laughed when I left, like he expected it. The detective nodded slowly, processing. And then, a second officer rushed in. Detective, we found something in the basement. What? He demanded. The officer hesitated, then pulled a small plastic evidence bag from behind his back. Inside was a photograph. A photograph of me, holding my daughter, taken from outside my own bedroom window. My entire body went cold. The detective whispered. Oh God, they were watching you long before tonight. My throat tightened until I could barely speak. How long? I croaked. The officer shook his head. One photo wasn't the only thing. There are dozens. Dozens. I felt dizzy.
Sick.
The detective stepped closer, voice firm. Claire, this isn't just about your husband anymore. I stared at him, heart pounding violently. Then who is it about? I whispered. He exhaled. There's someone else. Someone bigger. Someone who's been using your husband's family for years. My daughter's small hand slipped into mine again. Mom, I'm scared, she whispered. I turned toward her, trying to steady my breathing, shakily placing a hand over her hair. It's okay, baby, I whispered. We're safe now. But the detective's expression told me something else entirely. We weren't. Not even close. The moment I stepped into the hallway, I felt it. That cold, crawling awareness. That someone had been standing right behind me. I turned sharply. Nothing. Just the long, dim corridor and the soft hum of the baby monitor. But my pulse wouldn't slow. Not after what I'd seen on the footage. Not after seeing that shadow standing over my daughter's crib, a shadow that looked exactly like my husband, but wasn't him. I walked faster, almost sprinting toward the living room. I needed answers. I needed truth. And I needed it now. When I opened the living room door, I found Ethan sitting on the couch, head buried in his hands, as if he'd been waiting for some final judgment. What are you hiding from me? My voice came out sharper than I expected. He didn't look up. He didn't breathe. He just whispered, I knew this day would come. My stomach tightened. That wasn't guilt. That was fear. Who was in the nursery tonight? This time he lifted his head, and his eyes were bloodshot, trembling. It wasn't an intruder, he said quietly. It wasn't anyone breaking in. He swallowed hard. It was someone who was already here. My nails dug into my palms. Ethan, just say it. He ran a shaking hand through his hair. I think it was him. My whole body froze.
Who?
I whispered. He looked straight at me, and for the first time, I saw pure terror in his eyes. My brother. I stepped back like I'd been slapped. Your brother is dead, Ethan. I know, he shouted, voice cracking. But you've seen the footage, haven't you? You saw the face. You saw the way he moved. The way he stood over our daughter. A shiver ripped through me. I had noticed it. The strange, unnatural stillness. Like a silhouette made of memories and nightmares. It's not possible, I whispered. But Ethan shook his head violently. You don't understand. My brother didn't die in an accident. He stopped. Suddenly, went silent. Then he looked up at me like he was afraid of his next breath. He was murdered. My heart slammed hard against my ribs. Murdered? Ethan, what are you talking about? He stood, moving toward me slowly, as if speaking the truth might tear the world open. My family covered it up. They blamed me. They said it was my fault he died. That's why they hated you. That's why they kept saying you weren't good enough. Because they think I'm cursed. I stumbled backward until my back hit the wall. Your family told me you were irresponsible, that you ruined things, that you were unstable, but they never mentioned murder. He laughed, a broken, hollow sound. Why would they? They needed a villain. I was the easiest choice. My breath shook. Ethan, why would your brother be in our daughter's nursery? His voice dropped to a whisper. Because he died in a nursery. My hand flew to my mouth.
What?
Not mine, he added, but another child's. My parents were babysitting. He went to check on the baby, and something happened. They never told me the truth. Only blamed me. Only said I should have been watching him. A chill crawled up my spine. So now, I said slowly, you think his spirit. I don't know, he shouted. I don't know what I believe anymore. But he's here. You saw him. He's trying to tell us something. Before I could respond, the baby monitor crackled. A soft, distorted whisper filled the room. Then a second whisper.
Clearer.
Closer. Mommy. My blood froze solid. That wasn't her, I whispered. That wasn't our daughter's voice. Ethan grabbed my arm. We're not safe here. But before either of us could move, a loud slam echoed from upstairs, like someone had thrown something heavy across the nursery. Then the monitor died.
Cut to static.
No signal. No sound. Nothing. Just silence. I looked at Ethan, and he looked right back at me, his face pale with horror. We have to go, he said. But something deep inside me, something primal, something motherly, refused to move. No, I whispered. My daughter is up there. Ethan tightened his grip. We have to think. I pulled away from him. I am not leaving her alone. And before he could stop me, I ran up the stairs. Each step felt heavier than the last, like the house itself was warning me. When I reached the nursery door, I grabbed the doorknob, and it burned my hand, like someone on the other side was holding it. I jerked my hand back, heart racing. Ethan, I shouted. He came running up the stairs, panic in his face. The doorknob twisted on its own. Slow.
Soft.
Deliberate. Then click. The door creaked open. I stepped inside, and the entire room was ice cold. My daughter was in her crib, silent, staring at something behind me. Ethan grabbed my shoulder. What is she looking at? I didn't want to turn. Every instinct screamed, don't turn, don't look, don't face it. But I did. And standing in the corner, half shadow, half solid, face identical to Ethan, was the figure from the footage. His brother. He raised one trembling finger and pointed directly at Ethan. Then his voice, low, broken like gravel sliding, filled the room.
Tell
her the truth. Ethan collapsed to his knees,
sobbing.
I tried to protect her, but she needs to know. She needs to know what I did. The figure stepped forward, and the lights in the nursery exploded, and everything went dark. Darkness swallowed the room. For a moment, I couldn't breathe,
Couldn't see.
couldn't hear anything except my own heartbeat punching through my chest. Then, a soft, weak cry. My daughter. I lunged toward her crib, hands shaking, searching blindly until my fingers brushed her blanket. She was there.
Warm. Breathing fast.
Terrified but alive. Ethan, I shouted into the darkness. No answer. Only a low, vibrating hum spread across the walls, like the house itself was holding its breath. My phone slipped from my pocket, screen flickering back to life. The flashlight revealed the nursery in shards of broken light. Shattered bulbs on the carpet, toys knocked over, curtains twisted as if something had grabbed them. The corner where the figure stood seconds ago? Empty.
Gone.
I lifted my daughter into my arms and backed toward the open doorway.
Ethan.
I called again, louder this time. A choked sound came from the hallway. Not a word. Not a scream. Just a broken gasp, like someone struggling to breathe. I stepped cautiously into the hallway. Ethan was slumped against the wall, hands over his face, chest heaving violently. He looked up at me with eyes filled with a torment I'd never seen before. "I can't run anymore," he whispered. "I can't hide it." My grip tightened around our daughter. What truth was he talking about? My voice cracked. "What did you do, Ethan?" He shook his head like he was fighting something inside himself. "You don't understand. I never meant for it to happen. I was 16.
I was just a kid.
Your brother's death?" I asked carefully. He flinched. Too hard. Too fast. The answer was yes. He pressed his palms into his eyes, blood rushing from his forehead where he'd hit the wall. "My parents told everyone it was an accident," he whispered. "But it wasn't." My breath stopped. He lifted his head slowly. "It's my fault he died." The hallway shrank around us. "Our daughter saw him," I said. "You saw him." "I saw him." "Why is he here, Ethan? What does he want from us?" Ethan's voice broke into splinters. "He wants me to finish the truth I buried." A floorboard cracked behind us. I spun around. Nothing there, but the air shifted. Colder. Heavier. Like someone else had stepped into the hallway. Ethan pushed himself up, leaning on the wall. "He didn't die because of neglect," he whispered. "He died because of me." My knees buckled. "What do you mean?" His eyes brimmed with tears. He was obsessed with the baby our parents were watching. He kept calling it a game. He wouldn't stop climbing into the crib. I told him to stop. I told him he was going to scare the baby. He inhaled sharply.
He laughed.
He always laughed when he shouldn't. My daughter whimpered softly, sensing the tension. And then, I asked, voice trembling. Ethan swallowed hard. I pushed him. The world stopped. Not a dramatic accident. Not a tragic mistake. A push. He hit the edge of the crib. Ethan whispered, shaking violently. His neck snapped instantly. I froze. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell someone. But my parents, they covered it up. They said no one could ever know. They told me it was my punishment. My entire body felt like it was dissolving. And now, he whispered, pointing weakly toward the nursery. Now he's back. Because he thinks I did it on purpose. A cold breath seemed to brush the back of my neck.
Ispun.
The hallway behind me pulsed with a dark, swirling shadow. Then, the house groaned, as if something heavy was dragging itself through the walls. Ethan staggered back. He blames me, he said. He thinks I wanted him dead. He thinks I'm a danger to my own child. Suddenly, the hallway lights flickered back on, but they weren't steady. They strobed wildly, like a warning. Then every light went dead again. And in the pitch black, a voice, the same gravelly whisper from the nursery, rumbled through the walls. Tell the truth. My daughter wailed, terrified. I clutched her close, heart pounding, breath shaking. Ethan, I whispered fiercely, you need to finish this. You need to tell him everything, or he won't stop. Ethan dropped to his knees, sobbing. I didn't want to kill him. I swear that he scared me. He scared the baby. He wouldn't stop. I pushed him because I panicked, not because I hated him. The air thickened. A shape began forming in the darkness. Not fully human, not fully shadow, but unmistakably him. Ethan's brother. His outline flickered like a flame in the wind. He stepped closer. Ethan held up his hands, trembling violently. I'm sorry, he cried. I'm so sorry. I've lived every day hating myself. Every day terrified. Every day wishing it had been me instead of you. The shadow stopped. The house went completely silent. Then, the figure lifted his head, and for the first time, he spoke clearly. You're lying. The hallway door at the end slammed shut, so hard the walls shook. My daughter shrieked. Ethan gasped. The shadow rushed forward, a blur of darkness and cold, moving straight toward us. I stumbled back, shielding my daughter with my body. And then, everything exploded in blinding white light. The white light swallowed everything. I squeezed my daughter against my chest, eyes burning, throat tightening as the brightness stretched on, until suddenly it snapped away. Darkness returned. Quiet.
Still.
But something had changed. The cold was gone. The pressure in the walls had vanished. The air felt almost normal. Ethan was on the floor, breathing hard, face streaked with tears, staring ahead as if the glowing light had carved a hole into his mind. I took one shaky step toward him. Ethan, what happened? He didn't answer. His eyes weren't looking at me. They were fixed on the end of the hallway. I followed his gaze, and my legs nearly gave out. The shadowy figure, his brother, was no longer a blur of darkness. He stood there fully formed, like a real person, young, thin, face pale, eyes empty but strangely calm. Not monstrous, just broken. He looked exactly like the old photos Ethan's mother kept hidden in their attic. Ethan's mouth opened. No sound came out. Then finally, "Why are you here?" he whispered. The younger brother tilted his head, studying Ethan with something almost like disappointment. "You didn't tell the truth," the boy said softly. "You told your version." My heart clenched. This wasn't rage. It wasn't revenge, it was accusation. Painful, sharp, precise. Ethan pushed himself up on shaking legs. "I told you everything." "No," the boy stepped closer. "You told her everything except the part you still hide from yourself." I held my daughter tighter as she whimpered and buried her face in my shoulder. "Ethan," I whispered, "what is he talking about?" Ethan took a ragged breath. "I've told you everything," he repeated, but even he didn't sound convinced. The boy's eyes softened with a sadness far older than he should have ever known. "You pushed me," he said quietly, "but that's not the truth you're afraid of." Ethan shook his head desperately. "No. No. I was scared. You were acting strange. You wouldn't get out of the crib. You kept jumping in, laughing, scaring the baby." His voice cracked. I panicked. The figure nodded. "Yes, you pushed me. But that's not the secret." The hallway lights flickered once. Not violently this time. Almost like a heartbeat. The boy lifted a trembling hand toward Ethan. "You didn't push me because I was scaring the baby," he whispered. "You pushed me because you were angry." Ethan flinched like the words stabbed him. His voice fell apart piece by piece. The boy stepped closer. Not with hatred, not with vengeance, but with a tragedy that lingered in every step. "You weren't evil," the boy said. "You were hurting. And no one helped you. No one saw you. No one taught you how to handle the pain they gave you." I felt tears sliding down my own face. This wasn't a haunting. It was a confession. A truth both of them had been chained to for years. Ethan lifted his face, eyes red and swollen. "I am so sorry," he whispered. "I wish it had been me. I wish I could take it back. I wish you were here instead of me." The boy knelt in front of him. "I know," he said. "And that's why I came." Ethan blinked through tears. "You came to forgive me?" The boy shook his head slowly. "No. I came so you could finally forgive yourself." Silence. A silence that felt like something ancient breaking open. The lights flickered again. Not violently, just soft. The boy's figure began to fade, like mist dissolving in warm air. Ethan reached out wildly. "No, wait. Don't go, please. I don't deserve forgiveness." The boy gave him one last, long, heartbreaking look. "You deserve peace." And with that, he vanished.
No scream. No explosión. No sado. Just gone.
Leaving Ethan on the hallway floor, sobbing like his entire soul had cracked open. I lowered myself beside him, my daughter still in my arms, and placed a trembling hand on his back. He didn't look like the husband who lied, or the man who hid everything, or the person who terrified me these past nights. He looked like a boy still trapped in the moment everything shattered. He looked like someone finally facing the truth he ran from his entire life. And as his sobs shook the floor, I realized something. The haunting wasn't the danger. The truth was. Ethan was still on the floor, shaking, breath broken, eyes red and swollen. My daughter clung to me, her tiny hands gripping my shirt like she was afraid the hallway itself might swallow us. The house was finally quiet.
No flickering lights. No shadows.
No cold. Just the heavy, suffocating silence that follows a storm. I touched Ethan's shoulder gently. Hey, look at me.
He didn't.
He just buried his face deeper into his hands. I didn't want you to see me like this, he whispered, voice splintered. I swallowed hard. You needed to be seen, Ethan. You can't carry this alone anymore. He flinched at the word alone. Then, a loud pounding slammed through the front door. 3 fast hits. Angry. Impatient. Familiar. My heart sank. His family, now. Of all times. Ethan lifted his head, eyes wide with panic.
No. No. Not now.
Please, don't let them in. But the pounding kept coming, louder this time. Ethan, we know you're home. His mother's sharp voice. Not soft. Not worried. Accusing. I stood slowly, keeping my daughter on my hip, and walked to the door. Ethan scrambled onto his knees. No, wait, please don't open. But it was too late. I pulled the door open. His family stormed inside, like they owned the air we breathed. His mother led the charge. Hands on her hips, lips pursed, eyes flaming. Behind her were his sister, 2 aunts, and his older cousin. All judgment. All entitlement. All ready for war. His mother looked me up and down with that same familiar sneer. You didn't answer our calls. We assumed you were hiding something. I stared at her, still holding my child close. What do you want? She brushed past me without waiting for permission, scanning the living room like she was inspecting filth. Where is my son? We need to talk to him immediately. Ethan appeared behind me, eyes swollen, face wet, shirt wrinkled from collapsing on the floor. The moment she saw him, she froze. Not with concern, with suspicion. What happened to your face? She demanded. Have you been crying? Don't tell me she jabbed a finger toward me. Did something to you? Ethan lowered his head. Mom, please not today. But she smelled weakness like blood. Oh, so you were crying. She stepped closer, voice dripping with contempt. What did she do to you this time? What lie did she tell you? What drama did she cause? Ethan shook his head. She didn't do anything. His mother ignored him and turned her glare on me. You've always been too emotional for him. Too dramatic. Too unstable. And now look at this. Our son in tears because of you. I took a slow breath, steadying myself. This isn't about me. Oh, it is, she snapped. You've manipulated him since the day he married beneath himself. Her sister chimed in, rolling her eyes. We tried to warn him. But no, he had to pick the poor, struggling girl. Now she's ruining his life. My daughter whimpered softly against my shoulder. His mother pointed at us. Look at the state of you two. No wonder he's falling apart. Ethan pressed his palms against the sides of his head. Please stop. No, she said sharply. You need to hear this. You're wasting your life with this. Mom, stop. His shout cracked the air like lightning. Silence fell, thick and stunned. His family stared at him like he'd just thrown a chair. His mother's eyes widened, not with concern, but with offense. Excuse me? Ethan inhaled shakily. You don't get to come into my house and talk to my wife like that. A snort left his sister. Finally growing a spine? Took you long enough. But Ethan ignored her. He took a step toward his mother, and his voice trembled. You've controlled everything my entire life. What I say, how I act, who I date, who I marry, what I admit, what I hide. His mother narrowed her eyes. His father crouched beside him, voice unsteady. Son, is this about the accident? His voice barely made it out. Ethan flinched violently, like that one word stabbed him. I turned toward them, my voice firm. He never told me everything. You never told him everything. Your family built your whole life on half-truths and shame. His mother's lip trembled. That's not fair. I cut her off, because fairness left this family years ago. You blamed Ethan for what happened, I said. But you never admitted your part in it. Ethan's mother looked like she'd been slapped. His father swallowed hard. Enough, he whispered. Please, just tell us what you think we've done. I kept my voice steady. I don't think. I know. I turned to Ethan again. Tell them what their younger son said. Ethan slowly lifted his head and whispered the words that shattered the hallway. He said I didn't push him because I was scared. I pushed him because I was angry. His father closed his eyes. His mother covered her mouth, shaking her head in denial. Ethan wiped his face with shaking hands. You always said I was jealous, a bad big brother, a problem child. His voice cracked. But you never asked why I was angry. His mother whispered, Ethan, please don't. He stood up abruptly, like something inside him snapped. You treated me like I didn't matter, he screamed. Like he was perfect, and I was the mistake. His mother broke down, crying instantly. His father looked away. The way someone looks away from a mirror they've avoided for decades. You made me feel like everything he did was better, Ethan continued, voice trembling. And when he died, you made me believe it was because I wasn't good enough. His father finally spoke, voice low, raw, broken. That's not true. Son, that was never the truth. Then why, Ethan whispered, did you tell everyone it was an accident but never let me say what really happened? Silence. The kind that feels like a confession. Then Ethan's mother whispered, because we were wrong. Ethan froze. We punished you, she said, her voice shaking uncontrollably. We punished you because we couldn't accept the truth about ourselves. His father added, we treated you like you were dangerous, but the truth is, we were terrified. Not of you, but of our own guilt. Ethan stared at them, tears dripping off his jaw. His mother's voice cracked into a sob. Your brother wasn't the perfect child. We made him perfect in our memory because we destroyed him with our expectations when he was alive. My breath caught. That was the real secret. Not the haunting. Not the accident. But the lie they built to survive. His father lowered his head. Ethan, you didn't push him because you were evil. You pushed him because we pitted you against him from the moment he was born. Ethan's legs buckled, and I grabbed his arm to steady him. His mother kept crying. We were the ones who made you feel less. We made you feel unwanted. And when he died, we blamed you because it was easier than blaming ourselves. The guilt on her face was unbearable. Ethan's voice came out small, like a child again. You hated me. His mother shook her head violently. No. We hated ourselves. And you were the closest person to punish. My heart twisted painfully. This was the truth Ethan had needed his whole life. Not forgiveness. Not denial. Not excuses. Just the truth. Ethan's father took a shaky breath. And your brother, if he came to you, then he wanted you to know what we should have told you years ago. Ethan sank into my arms, sobbing. His mother reached for him, trembling. Son, can you ever forgive us? He didn't answer. Because forgiveness isn't something you hand over like a gift. It's something earned. And they'd barely begun. But then, just as the tension thinned, a loud thud echoed from inside the basement. Everyone jerked their heads toward the door. Ethan grabbed my hand fast. His father grabbed his wife. Because that sound, that heavy, unmistakable sound, was not part of the truth. It was something else. Something, or someone, still down there. Not the brother. Not a shadow. Something alive. And waiting. The house was silent now.
No shadows. No whispers.
No rushing cold air. Just the faint hum of the lights and the soft breathing of my daughter in my arms. I looked at Ethan. He was on the floor, exhausted, trembling, tears streaming down his face. The weight of everything, his lies, the secret he hid, the guilt he carried, had finally crashed down on him. I knelt beside him, holding my daughter close. For the first time, I felt relief. Not joy, not happiness. Just relief. The nightmare, the fear, the constant tension, it was over. Ethan looked up at me, eyes red, voice barely a whisper. I don't deserve forgiveness. I shook my head. You don't need it from me. You need it from yourself. You faced the truth tonight. That's what matters. His lips trembled. I don't know if I can ever fix what I did, what my family did. I squeezed his shoulder gently. Sometimes, the only thing we can fix is ourselves. The rest will either find its way, or it won't. But you can't let it destroy you, or us anymore. Outside, I heard the front door open. His parents. They stood there, faces pale, guilty, ashamed. I didn't say a word. I just held my daughter tighter, letting them see the truth in our silence. Finally, his mother spoke. We never should have treated you that way. We judged, we lied, we covered up everything. We judged, we lied, we covered up everything. I looked at her. Not anger, not rage, just quiet strength. You humiliated me. Ethan's lies nearly destroyed us, but the truth came out. That's what matters now. His father's voice cracked. We failed you. We failed him. We failed our family. I let the words hang in the air. For years, I'd wanted them to acknowledge the pain, the betrayal, the lies. And now they had. I turned to Ethan. Let's rebuild. For her. For us. For the truth we survived. He nodded, tears spilling again. But this time, they felt lighter. Like a weight had been lifted from both our shoulders. The moral of our story, harsh, brutal, and unforgettable, was clear. No amount of lies, secrets, or humiliation can stay hidden forever. Truth will find its way. And sometimes the hardest thing you can do is face it. I rocked my daughter gently in my arms. Her tiny hands wrapped around my finger. And for the first time in months, I felt safe. I looked at the camera, speaking directly to anyone listening. Thank you for staying with me through this story. I hope it reminds you, no matter how much someone tries to shame or control you, your strength, your courage, and the truth will always matter. A soft smile crossed my lips. Which city are you listening from? If this story moved you, please like and share it. Because every voice deserves to be heard, and every truth eventually will be. I took a deep, shaky breath. And for the first time in years, I felt free.